I made Lauren watch Mannequin on this episode of So I Married a Millennial.
So I married a millennial. Now I'm watching all the things he knows. So I married a millennial. I married a millennial.
Welcome to So I Married a Millennial. My name is Jeremy Levy. This is my lovely wife,
Lauren Levy.
And we are millennials on totally opposite sides of the spectrum. So I am making Lauren watch all of the classics from my childhood, circa 80s, 90s-ish. And there will come a time where Lauren will exact her revenge upon me. Today,
Oh, it will.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it will.
Today we are doing 1987's Mannequin, classic, absolute classic.
Jeremy, how old were you in 1987?
Don't make me do math. I think I was like six or seven, something. I hate math. Okay, so here is the official Rotten Tomatoes synopsis of Mannequin. Jonathan Switcher, Andrew McCarthy, an unemployed artist, finds a job as an assistant window dresser for a department store. When Jonathan happens upon a beautiful mannequin he previously designed, she springs to life and introduces herself as Emmy, Kim Cattrall, an Egyptian under an ancient spell, sort of. Despite interference from the store's devious manager, James Spader, Jonathan and his mannequin fall in love while creating eye-catching window displays to keep the struggling store in business. It sounds even more ridiculous when you say it out loud.
It makes no sense even when you say it out loud.
Yeah, I shouldn't think so. 20% critics score. Nice. That's double digits. And a 40% audience score. So
I feel like those simultaneously both seem too high and too low.
yeah, that is, we call that the mannequin effect. Okay. So I am very interested to hear your general recap. That was Rotten Tomatoes recap. What is your, if you could very succinctly talk about the plot of this movie, what just comes to mind? What flies out of your mouth?
All right, we got this absolute weirdo pervert that can't hold down a job.
It's off to a great start.
That can't hold down a job.
Yeah.
He is holding every job and is weirdly fascinated with this one mannequin. He's sort of an embarrassment. He's not doing great in life, but then he finds this, with a weird accident, he gets a job at the store, but there's a weird plot within the store. There's I don't want to call it corporate espionage.
There is a subplot of corporate espionage.
There is a subplot.
This is low key a thriller underneath it all.
I wasn't thrilled.
Okay.
And he falls in love with this mannequin. She comes to life. Only he can see her come to life. And it's sort of a hilarity and romance. Hilarity, if you can call it that, ensues.
It does. It most certainly.
Was that a good recap?
That was great. That was, once again, hearing it come out of your mouth, and I was like, man, this thing is a fever dream. So she is a mannequin.
It's the name of the movie.
That is the name. It's the name of the movie.
Ryan George.
She is a mannequin.
One of our favorites.
When anyone else is looking at her. But only when she is alone with Andrew McCarthy, Jonathan Switcher, then she becomes like a normal human person. But his relationship to her, even before he knows that she comes to life, is weird and inappropriate.
Absolutely.
Like, he definitely fucked that mannequin before she came to life.
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%.
There's not a doubt in my mind.
It's giving implied pervert vibes and literal pervert vibes.
But every man in this movie is a pervert.
Yes.
Like, to some extent.
Everyone in this movie is a deviant of some sort. Like, no one is firing on all cylinders in a normal society over here.
So Jonathan Switcher has his now sort of ex-girlfriend, Roxy, and she works at the other department store. So all of this takes place.
The rival department stores.
It's a West Side Story of department stores in the city of Philadelphia.
And why? And in Philadelphia, of all places.
Yeah, because that's drama.
Oh.
That's how that works. So most of this takes place in the good department store. And then there's the evil department store, and you could tell it's the evil one. First of all, its name is Illustra, which just smacks of like an evil corporation. But all of the design and the lighting in the evil department store, it's all like neon blues and pinks, and everything's like sort of steel and cold and futuristic in the way that 80s thought the future might
was gonna look
like. Yeah. So she works at the other store.
At the evil.
And we pit them against each other, and she has a coworker named Armand.
I don't remember.
Maybe I grew up with this movie.
Okay,
this movie is part of my DNA.
You're right. I've only seen this once. I'm like, I did not remember the name of the department store, the name of the ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
Carry on.
I know this movie like the back. Let me explain something to you. We didn't have a lot of content back then. It's not like today with your YouTuberies and your Netflixeries and your what have yous.
Fair enough.
We had 4 channels, one of which was HBO, and I had one parent who apparently let me watch whatever I wanted.
Yeah, how old were you, do you think, when you watched that? I mean, clearly you weren't watching it when it first came out because you were like 6, but like, I feel like you were probably too young still, no? I
mean, I was definitely sub 10.
Sub 10?
Definitely sub 10 watching this movie. Oh yeah, Robin and Rich didn't give a fuck.
I mean, I should have figured that. Love you, Mom and Dad. But this is not a 10-year-old movie. I feel like on the flip side, my parents would have been like, "You can't watch this till you're 20."
That makes sense for
both
all of our parents. But this is also not the worst thing that I feel like that we
that is fair
that we watched. So there are some sub characters, some supporting characters in this. My personal favorites, Hollywood Montrose.
Oh yes, phenomenal.
So Hollywood Montrose plays the sidekick. Do you want to talk a little bit about Hollywood Montrose?
I mean, what a diva. First of all, like, diva alert. Was he the redeeming thing in this movie for me? Absolutely.
He gives one hell of a performance.
Absolutely.
I mean, it is beyond a stereotype. I mean, it is.
Yes, but he really put his whole fucking pussy into this role. To be clear, he was giving us looks. He was giving us entertainment. His energy was infectious. I think most of the time I was like, what's happening? And then when he was on screen, I was like, do it. Talk. Tell us things. Tell us weird anecdotes about you need to lose weight for your boyfriend.
Those
like,
jelly donuts. They call to him in the middle of the night.
They call to him. He was a riot. His car. I'm gonna be honest. Him and Kim Cattrall's fashion, the only redeeming parts of this movie for me. Personally, with no nostalgia connected to this movie.
While I was doing research on this movie, I came across a fun factoid, and I have in all caps notes in here. Hollywood Montrose, not gay. The actor is not gay.
Work diva.
He is.
He channeled something. He channeled something deep in his soul.
So the actor's name is Mashach?
Okay.
I'm not gay and not Jewish, near as I can figure. But
well,
Mashach Taylor.
Okay.
Hollywood Montrose, not gay. I wrote in all caps.
Okay. We were acting.
He pulls it off for me.
We were acting.
Supposedly, when casting for Hollywood Montrose, Mashach. Excuse me.
That can't be how you pronounce that.
Mashach Taylor was the only straight man who auditioned. So on the one hand, this feels weird when he's the only straight man who auditioned and he got the role. I have so many notes. So what do you think of Kim Cattrall in this movie? Because you probably only knew her.
Sex and the City.
Yeah.
Of course.
And
Samantha.
she plays a very different role.
Justice for Samantha.
Yeah.
This has to have been one of her first big roles, right?
This was apparently her first leading role.
I feel like maybe I don't want to call it a quibble. I don't know. She's Egyptian?
I have that exact same note in here. Just wrote, Kim Cattrall is ... Egyptian. And not only is she Egyptian, her mother is my mother. Her mother, like in ancient Egypt, is like a Jewish mother,
100%.
played by a Jewish woman.
Correct.
And I was like, historically speaking, this feels very inaccurate. I feel like they're more apt to be on the other side of the pyramid.
Like I wanted it. No. Like I wanted it to be. I was like, you know who this like should have been? Which I bet this is a movie you haven't seen.
What?
Tyra Banks in Life Size.
Yeah, I missed that one.
Oh, it's so good though. Actually, I want to say that's a '90s movie.
Okay.
But I was like, this and Tyra Banks. Spoiler alert, babe. Movie's been out for a while.
Go
but
ahead, thank you.
She is like a doll that comes to life. So it's like a sort of similar.
Okay.
You know, it's also giving a little weird science.
I was thinking, like, when I picked this for us to watch next, I was like, is this a little...
Had some weird science parallels.
Yeah.
No lie.
There is, like, this whole idea of, like, creating the perfect woman, which is now, I'm understanding.
For, like, horny teenage boys, specifically. Like,
yes.
Like, everyone is too young and too old at the same time. But yeah, it wanted, like, I was like, I mean, like, Tyra Banks, not Kim Cattrall in this.
Okay. Even
Tyra Banks, all right, Tyra Banks is not Egyptian, let's be clear, but I was like, we need a little bit of something, not this blonde white woman when we're like in Egypt.
Yeah.
That was a little, I don't think that would fly today. I feel like it barely flew then. No one was buying in the opening that she was Egyptian.
Also, like, her character in general, I had questions. I had many questions.
Many questions.
Like, what the curse of her being a mannequin was never really fleshed out.
The rules were very ambiguous, which I know is one of your biggest pet peeves.
Yeah.
I feel like you kind of let it slide because this movie has nostalgia, but in general, you do not like when the rules do not make sense.
Yeah.
The whole opening scene of her, like, as a mummy, but she's not a mummy. They're just kind of chilling in Egypt. Very odd. The rules do not make sense. She's traveled all over time.
Yeah, we get
space.
this, like, with this weirdo animated montage.
Don't even get me started about the animated. I'm talking about before the animated montage. Don't even get me started on the animated montage.
But it shows her, like, traveling, and also she's a cat in this montage. Which
she's a lot of things in this montage. None of which is an actual woman of color. she's a lot of things, but a woman of color she is not.
That is, that is true. I like that they made her a cat before they made her a woman of color.
Absolutely. They're like, get this blonde white lady in here. No problem.
She speaks of Egyptian
no
to me. But, like,
problem.
So we are meant to believe that she has been traveling through time for some purpose, trying to find her purpose, which, spoiler alert, it was a man. That was her purpose.
It was a man, which, A, infuriating, but B, you're telling me she went through time and space, decades and decades, and this is who she was like, no.
She found Andrew McCarthy.
It was like, this is it. This little weirdo who cannot keep a job to save his life.
Yeah.
And is like a little bit of a freak. Like, that's it.
And she talks.
Did she reference like Christopher Columbus?
Yeah. She hung out with Christopher Columbus.
Not that was a good person.
Which, like, yes. But she talked about his lack of self-confidence. And I was just like, I think Chris Columbus had a little too much
confidence, actually.
A little too much hubris.
But she's like, no, this teeny bopper boy.
Leonardo, I almost said Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah.
She references Michelangelo. She references Christopher Columbus. She references.
Yeah. And so she's like, no, this little dude.
So was she a mannequin back then, too? Did they also create her?
Because what would be the equivalent? Well, I don't know. What would be the equivalent? They didn't have mannequins like that. For like stores.
I don't understand. And the thing is,
the rules are very unclear.
So she is thousands of years old. Mm-hmm. She has seen incredible things. But her character is like a wide-eyed little girl.
Correct.
Like, she has like 12-year-old energy.
100%.
But also she has some knowledge of modern culture.
I don't know how she knows anything that she knows, to be clear.
Yeah.
Or how she knows how to set dress windows. We have like one moment where she sees speakers and she's like, what's this? But like otherwise she's like completely on board with like set dressing, the fashion, she has no other questions. We have one moment with speakers where she's like, oh no, but that's it. That was the only, otherwise we're cool.
That is
Otherwise, we're totally fine.
That is very fun. So the crux is that the two of them team up and they create these amazing windows at the department store at night, which then brings in crowds of people, which then saves the struggling store. So, yes. So, firstly, the first window we're meant to believe is amazing, and it's just some like spinning. It's like the tennis rackets. They're like
I thought that was the second one. The tennis rackets was the first one?
I think the tennis rackets was the first one.
Okay.
And it was kind of impressive, I guess. And there's 12 people outside.
I thought, I was like, maybe in the 80s this was crazy, because that gives me like what they do at Macy's and like Bergdorf's and everything, like in New York for the holiday displays, and those are super elaborate.
They get more elaborate.
They do, but I was like, I don't know, maybe in the 80s this was thrilling, groundbreaking technology.
How did she just discover what a speaker is, but then at night she's creating these engineering marvels?
100%.
There's like treadmills involved, and they have one night to do it. Yeah. She does paraglide.
She does paraglide inside.
Yeah.
And all of that, she's like, I always wanted to fly. Let's go. She has no other questions.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, great. Well, I guess that's.
And we are done. And my favorite part of the is it paragliding or hang gliding? Hang gliding. Paragliding is when you're on the back of the boat.
Okay, whatever you say. Whatever you say, Sporty King. I'm here to talk about movies.
I have done neither. I am a wuss. But she's hang gliding, and there are these shots of her hang gliding. But the wide shots are clearly just a mannequin, just like hang gliding around the top.
Can I read you a few of I took some like minor notes. Can I share with you just a few more?
Yeah.
Where in the specific plot points?
Please do.
Well, first of all, opening, I wrote down. So the opening sort of little like text at the bottom. So it says, Edfu, Egypt, a really long time ago. Right before lunch.
Yeah.
Why is that funny? Why was right before lunch? I'm looking at you. I'm like, is this a humor? I'm just not picking. Why is this funny? They're hangry? Is that what we're going with? Like,
that's probably it.
We started. I was like, oh no, this is a bad start. That's not a joke. That's not funny.
The director had a lot of very broad, very slapsticky humor. And in some of the research that I did, they interviewed the cast, and the guy who played the main security guard, who I haven't really talked about, with his dog Rambo, the guy from Police Academy, they interviewed him, and he was like, honestly, I didn't think any of this stuff would make it out of the editing room. He was like, the stuff that the director was having us do was, I hadn't done this since I was in high school. It was so crazy. It was so over the top. And he just wanted us to go farther, more. So this was his first film. And he had
you're kidding.
He had a
was
lot
it his
of,
last?
No, he did like two other films that I saw.
Okay.
But he had a lot of dad humor energy.
Yeah, for sure.
What other notes? What else you got?
Animation all of a sudden for the opening titles. What was that? Although I will say for our next episode, which we're going to be talking about Teen Wolf, the juxtaposition of these titles, this one honestly was giving too much, and then Teen Wolf gave me nothing. So in general, I have a lot of feel, but I feel like that's a very 80s 90s thing with these very elaborate like opening credit sort of things that we don't see as much anymore.
Yeah.
But I look, apparently I have demands for the opening credits. This is an unrealistic job economy. This kid got so many jobs that he worked for like one day with no references. I was sitting over there like, this is ridiculous. Who could get this many jobs?
Yeah.
Who could get this many jobs?
Baby,
it's bleak out there now. This kid's just going and getting fired from everything.
It was the 80s. It was a time of abundance. It was a time of excess. Why do they say all the time that like millennials and Gen Z are just like they don't you could buy a house for like $20 in 1982, I think.
Apparently we should have bought houses then.
Yeah.
Except you were one.
That's true.
Well, I wasn't alive.
Yeah.
No helmet on the motorcycle. Come on,
yeah,
80s.
I have that too.
Come on, 80s. When he meets the woman that owns the department store, he got electrocuted in the balls, and he seemed very okay for that happening.
Yeah.
Like, we really just brushed right over that. Like, we were giving ball humor with no consequence.
Their kids are not going to be okay. I don't think.
Between a mannequin and...
Yeah, they have a weird sort of Egyptian mannequin mom and a man whose balls had been aggressively tased. They're not going to be okay.
I do love a good montage scene. This does have a great where she's trying on different outfits and they're like it's giving very, mall montage. That was a really solid part. And then my last note that I took, then I want to hear some of yours that you took. My number one grievance with this movie, of which there clearly are many, they called the bulldog a pug.
Oh, yeah.
That's
not okay.
Was a bulldog, and they called it a pug. They're like something, they were talking to the security guard, and they said they referred to the dog as a pug. And that was so clearly an English bulldog. That was deeply offensive to me as a pug lover.
Yeah, they crossed the line.
They did. And I can't, I'm not going to say I can forgive everything else, but that was particularly egregious to me. Tell me what you jotted down when you were watching.
I have a great meta notes.
Those were just my highlights.
I have one of I have so Hollywood Montrose. I have Hollywood Montrose is an icon.
Correct.
Sorry, he just is. But
Period.
he had some of the most incredible lines.
He really did.
But also lines that didn't really make sense.
No,
at one point
they didn't need to. We were going straight vibes.
He told Andrew McCarthy told him to go away, to leave, he had to work, whatever, and Hollywood's exit line was, "I'm a dream that once was." I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna, every time I leave a room now, that's what I'm gonna say.
It. Okay.
I'm a dream that once was.
Okay.
Backs away.
Okay. I'm here for this.
Yeah, I feel like you hit a lot of my major points. I think we get into trivia.
All right, tell me. Let's
go into trivia. Okay. So at a cost of $7.9 million, every time I say these, you lose your mind.
Excuse me? Wait,
$7.9 million.
That movie
was the budget.
They spent $7.9 million on that movie.
Yeah, and adjusted for inflation, that's probably that's a $40-50 million movie.
What part of that cost $7.9 million? Okay, sorry, I'll keep my thoughts to myself.
Did you see those mannequins?
It can't be that expensive.
On a budget of $7.9 million, it grossed $42.7 million. It was a hit.
That is way more money than I thought.
It was.
This is when it initially came out.
Yeah. Baby, this
was a moment.
Was a classic. There's a reason we're still talking about this movie.
I will say though, but
decades
which
later.
we didn't address in the beginning. It was so hard to find this movie anywhere.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if Kim Cattrall tried to scrub this from the internet, but we could not find this movie anywhere. We ended up having to buy it on a Fandango, formerly Vudu service.
Yeah.
For $15, and it really that took a lot of doing. This movie, for apparently with this movie being that popular at the time, you cannot find this movie online. I guess it's you. I hope you own a DVD.
I mean, you can't. It was the only place we could even buy it.
Correct.
We couldn't buy it on Apple.
Nothing. Nothing.
But what we could buy, what we did have the option of streaming, was its sequel, Mannequin 2, Mannequins on the Move.
Why? Is that one worth seeing?
No.
Is Kim Cattrall in it?
No. Neither of them are in it. She's not, spoiler alert, she's not a mannequin.
Well, sorry, that's true.
At the end of the first one.
You ruined it for the audience.
Sorry, my bad.
Sorry, listeners.
I don't remember all that much about Mannequin 2 on the Move. I think Jonathan Silverman is in it.
Who?
Yeah, okay. and scene.
Okay.
This movie was an Oscar nominee.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
For one very specific.
Not for Best Picture.
No.
Okay.
But there was an aspect of it that was nominated for an Oscar. Which do you think it is? I think it's
costume.
It's pretty obvious.
Costume design.
No. All right.
I don't know.
I'll help you out. Ready?
Yeah.
Best original song. Nothing's gonna stop us now. Oh, come on. Baby, that song slaps. Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now is one I had
All
that.
right, sing it. Sing it.
I had that
Sing
in
it
my
right now.
notes. 'Cause if this world runs out of lovers, we'll still have each other. Nothing's gonna stop us now.
Wait, so that was from this movie?
That was from
That
this
was
movie.
for this movie?
Yes.
Okay, I did not know that.
It was created.
Okay.
Yes. And that song slaps. I mean, like,
Okay, that does.
this
Sorry,
movie really.
I did not. I had no idea that song was for this movie.
Yeah, it was created for this movie. Original song.
Okay, I had no idea. That's actually, I'll give them that one.
The soundtrack is pretty great. I'm
I'll
loving all of these 80s soundtracks.
I will give
like the music is pretty awesome.
I will give them that one. I did not know that was made just for this. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
One of the original Emmy mannequins used in the filming of the movie was restored by the store South Bellini and is currently on display in their store, which is located on East Passyunk Avenue in South Philadelphia. The head and torso are the original pieces, so we can go visit.
We gotta pay
We can
our
go visit-
respects.
yeah, we gotta go pay homage.
We gotta pay our respects, I guess.
We got it. The department store used for Prince and Company is an actual department store. It is John Wanamaker's, now Macy's in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
I figured some of this had to be Macy's related.
I mean, that store was incredible.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go see this Macy's.
I think we might have to.
We have to
have
go
to
make
make
a
a
pilgrimage. Thank you, baby. This is why we have to do a podcast. We have no choice. This comedy movie is the rare Hollywood romance where the lead actress is older than the lead actor. Kim Cattrall was 29 years old when she played Emmy, and Andrew McCarthy was only 23 when he played Jonathan Switcher.
But like, great. She is older, but then they're like, he's like prepubescent. Like he's not actually, but I feel like that's the like. It's never like, oh wow, like what an adult man. It's always like weird, horny teenage boys.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I actually give that credit.
Fair enough.
But because we
Fair
could say
enough.
that, I guess, about weird science, but I also don't want to say that about weird science.
A lot of man boys.
A lot of man
running
boys
about in the
yeah.
80s.
Yeah.
All right. Good to know.
I don't know how to give him that one.
Couple man boys running around right now in the 2020s. Director Michael Gottlieb took inspiration from his teenage years working in a Macy's stockroom. He was particularly inspired by his own experiences with mannequins behind locked doors. So this director was fucking mannequins.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so this
we had a
is-
director who's fucking mannequins.
Uh-huh.
A man was fucking mannequins,
Uh-huh.
and he goes, I should make a movie
He's
about
like,
a
you
man
know
who
what?
fucks mannequins.
I bet other people are really interested in this. I bet I'm not alone.
You know what?
You know what? Apparently he was right.
$42 million says he was right.
Apparently he was right. So
A really
behind
underserved.
locked doors. Why would he phrase it like that?
I mean, I don't know that he did.
Oh, okay. I was like,
I lifted this off of IMDb, so I did not
okay,
go.
not vetted.
I did not go farther into this. Also, Michael Gottlieb, please do not sue me for slander. I have no problem with you fucking mannequins. I support your right to fuck mannequins.
We bought your movie.
We bought your movie.
We spent $15.
So listen, I'm hip. I am woke. And
Let's stop
believe
that
in
right there.
I believe in sexual freedom.
Let's stop right
So
there.
Michael Gottlieb, please, sir, fuck your mannequins.
In peace. In privacy.
And so finally, some reception. Roger Ebert said of this movie, I love this quote. Roger Ebert says, "This movie is a real curiosity. It's dead. I don't mean it's bad. A lot of bad movies are fairly throbbing with life. Mannequin is dead. The wake lasts 1.5 hours, and then we can leave the theater."
How many stars did he give it?
That is brutal. I'm assuming zero. He didn't do.
I'm assuming zero.
I don't think he didn't do
He didn't do
stars because they did him and Siskel and Ebert
It
did
was
the thumbs up,
thumbs down. So I'm sure, given you're right, I'm sure given that was a thumbs down.
Yeah.
For nostalgia purposes, are you giving this a thumbs up, my dude?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Oh yeah. I think we're gonna keep finding this.
We
The
might.
nostalgia is strong. I find these movies exceptionally charming on their own terms, outside of the things that like overtly don't hold up. Oh, there's a boat.
There's a cruise ship.
Ahoy!
Think they've seen Mannequin?
They're off to Philadelphia to go to go see the Mannequin to pay homage. Yeah, I had a good time. I enjoyed it.
Should we have a rating system beyond I don't know, a thumbs up, a thumb down, a star? I don't know.
Let's work on that.
Let's workshop that.
Let's workshop that. Let's think about that.
But for now, you're giving this, if we're doing the Roger Ebert scale, you're giving a thumbs up.
I'm giving a thumbs up, if only for Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now. I mean, that movie really comes. I really got the feels. Them, what was it? Hollywood marrying them in the store window to nothing. I mean, it finished strong.
It did. I'm gonna give this. I guess if we're picking and choosing, I'm giving this a thumbs up for Kim Cattrall.
Mm-hmm.
All of the outfits that she was slaying.
Mm-hmm.
The mall montage,
mm-hmm.
Hollywood Montrose in that song. Otherwise,
that's a lot.
That is a lot. And I would say that's more than Weird Science.
Mm-hmm.
That is a low bar
mm-hmm.
for me personally, but
mm-hmm.
that is more than Weird Science. So,
I understand it. That is what we are here to do. We're here to see these movies through your lens, and I'm glad.
I can't believe you saw this when you were like 10.
Of the things that we are going to watch, the next movie we're going to do, I was probably even younger. So when we watched Teen Wolf, I mean, yeah, that was, as you well know. We'll talk about that next. What a teaser for that.
What a teaser. What a setup, babe.
That is great. Thank you very much. So, that's going to do it for Mannequin. Stay tuned next week. We are doing Teen Wolf, baby.
Your favorite.
I love Teen Wolf. I love all of these to some extent.
See you on the other side.
All right. We will see you.
So I married a millennial.